I am sure excited to be here with Chris Eve, our wellness coach here at Tompkins Family Chiropractic. One of the things that we've been really excited about is in providing the care that we provide here, our goal certainly is to help our patients to feel better. Our goal is to help our patients to get healthier. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And we, in trying to help someone to be healthier, if we neglect some of those things like nutrition and dealing with our stress and that sort of thing, we're just never going to actually be as healthy as we're going to be. And so I'm so thankful for Chris Eve, our wellness coach, who works with our patients and does a lot of work in nutrition, homeopathy, supplementation. There's a wide, vast array of things that Chris can do to help you with your health. And so we're just going to have a sit down, a chat today with Chris about the things that she does and how this nutritional work can have a huge impact on your health. So Chris, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about you, how, and your journey to get you to the point that you're here providing wellness coaching here in our community.
So I actually started in the medical field. Was in the medical field for about 30 years. I'm a respiratory therapist. I did that for about 6 years. Then I transitioned into a GI or cross-trained into a GI lab, and I was doing colonoscopies, upper endoscopies, all that fun stuff for about 12 years. I went from there into education, teaching paramedics and EMTs. I started my own first aid, CPR, and first aid training business so that I could be a stay-at-home mom. I took care of my mom for 4 years with Alzheimer's, and that's when my own personal health crisis came into play. And doctors were just keeping me sick, so I kind of changed teams and went the more natural route. And once I got better, I really dug into the natural medicine and got a diploma in homeopathy. I did an internship with a local homeopath in town. I was doing that when I met you. I became your patient, and we got to talking, and you invited me to join your team. And when I came on board here, I got the certification in the nutrition response testing. I recently just finished a certification in homeopathic facial analysis. So that's where I'm at now.
Wow. It's amazing the journey that we have to go through in order to get where we are today. And we're going to loop back on some of this in just a little bit here. But I think what I'd like to do now is just a quick question. What do you think, what does wellness mean to you? And how do you incorporate wellness into what you do as a health coach?
All right, so I actually looked up a really good definition of wellness. Wellness is the act of practicing healthy habits on a daily basis to attain better physical and mental health outcomes so that instead of just surviving, you're thriving. And that is so true. When new clients come in to see me, they're just surviving, and the goal is to thrive by the time they're done working with me, which really, you should just work with me the rest of your life just to keep things on par. Like you, right? Everyone should come in routinely for chiropractic.
It's a real common question. How often should I come in, or how often should I do anything healthy? And when someone asks how often they should say come in and get adjusted or work with you, how often should you go to the gym and exercise or just exercise? How often should you choose to eat something that's healthy? Those are health choices that you'll be
Right.
making every day of your life to make every day of your life healthy. So how often should you work, or for how long should you work with the people who are going to help move you in that healthy direction? It's really as long as you want to achieve the benefits of working with that person.
Because you
You're
want to
you
thrive.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you had mentioned something here that it was a personal health crisis that you were going through that
Mhm.
happened in the process of caring for a family member who was really struggling with a really hard health challenge herself. Do you notice that in people who tend to do a really good job of caring for others, do you notice that those people tend to struggle with more major health crises? And why do you
Yes,
think?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and for me, it's what triggered autoimmune disease
Mm.
was the stress of taking care of my mom, and that triggered the Epstein-Barr and the chronic fatigue and the fibromyalgia, and then the discovery of the celiac disease. So it was a whirlwind there for a while.
Mhm.
But it
It's
was nutrition, essentially nutrition, that brought me back on track.
that
It
pulled
wasn't
you out of it.
medication. Yeah, the
That's
medication just kept me sick and tired,
oh
and it was the nutrition that pulled me out of it. And homeopathy. I have to give credit
yeah.
where credit's due.
And it's wonderful you were able to get out of that. And I just wonder, when someone's so good at caring for others, if maybe in that process of caring for others, we stop noticing the signals in ourselves. We stop caring for ourselves. We put ourselves second. Things start happening in our body. But because we're caring for others, we don't think about those things until they build and build until we really suffer. And I think it's just so wonderful that you have the opportunity to serve people that are dealing with that among so many other things. Um, so let's talk about nutrition. Nutrition is a big part of the practice that you have here. And so I'm going to go into a couple of different areas with nutrition and supplementation and homeopathy. How do you work? How do you educate and guide people on maybe making healthier food choices? What do you do there?
One of the biggest things I do is the nutrition response testing.
Mm.
So when we do that testing, we test for stressors, and one of the stressors is foods. So if there are certain foods that are actually stressing the body, then obviously we need to remove those from the diet. So we discuss healthier options, better options. Right now, for everyone, convenience is a big thing, and people want it now. And so if it comes out of a box, or you have to cut the bag open or tear the bag open, you probably shouldn't be eating it. And then once we do the testing and find out the specifics, are you lacking a gastric enzyme? Are you lacking enough hydrochloric acid to actually digest your meals? So there's a lot to it, as opposed to just coming in and sitting down and I say, hey, you know what? You should just not eat gluten, dairy, or sugar, which you shouldn't, but there's more to that.
Yeah,
I have people that can't have fruit initially. Fruit's supposed to be really good for us, and they can't because they can't digest it properly.
that's really
So
interesting. So you don't just tell people when they come in the door they need to start going vegan or go paleo or eat gluten free or one of the cookie cutter ways of eating. This is definitely, it
no,
sounds like, a lot more specific.
it's very personalized, very individualized, yes.
That's
And that's the beauty
fantastic.
of it. It's just, and that's why we have such a huge impact as we go through, is because it's literally their body telling me what's wrong.
That's fantastic. So now, what would you say is your perspective on using supplementation to support health?
So the supplements we use are basically whole food supplementation. So
Mm.
we're using the highest quality food-based supplements, beets, organs, glands, all of that to help build the body and get it into self-healing mode. And that all comes from the testing too. We find out exactly what supplement the body needs, and how much of that supplement it needs on a daily basis.
That's awesome. So someone doesn't come in and they just say, "My stomach hurts. What's the supplement that helps with that?" You're
Right.
actually
Yeah.
okay.
And
Okay.
I've had people come in and say, "Oh, my digestion's a hot mess." And when I do the nutrition response testing, it's called the body scan, and we check all the organs. Their thyroid is the primary organ, which they're like, well, that doesn't have anything to do with my digestion. And I'm like, just watch. And we build a protocol, and things get better.
Yeah.
That's just a one example of how things work.
Yeah. That's really wonderful. So now you've mentioned some of what you do with nutrition and how you use your supplementation, and a lot of that is based on this nutrition response testing where you're identifying exactly what the body is missing or what the body is needing. And then there's this other direction of homeopathy, and I think that's an area that a lot of people struggle understanding. What's your what's your I don't know, seventh grade explanation of homeopathy and how that can help someone.
If only. So it's homeopathy is not an easy one to grasp. But so an example would be if you're cutting a red onion, and when you're cutting that red onion, you get watery eyes, you get a runny nose, clear drainage, right? Those are symptoms of cutting a red onion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not cutting a red onion and you have watery eyes and a runny nose of clear drainage, we would use alumina sepia, which is a homeopathic remedy made from red onion, to treat those symptoms. So it's like cures, is how they explain it. So they take the red onion and they dilute it down to where there's no onion left. It's literally just the frequency or the vibration of the onion. And then they continue to, it's called succussion, where we pound it so many times to create different potencies. So for different potencies or for different severity of symptoms and things like that. And then I also use a lot of Banerjee protocols. These are protocols from family of homeopaths in India that have been tracking stuff for the almost 200 years. And they've created these protocols that in 80% of the population, these remedies will fix constipation. And I use their constipation remedy actually very successfully with my clients. I had a kid that was constipated from birth, and we put him on this protocol. And within 5 months, he was regular. He was going at 30 minutes after each meal, which, by the way, is what we're designed to do. We're not designed to only go once a day. Yeah, it's powerful when it's the right remedy. It's very powerful, life
That's
changing.
amazing. And
So, yeah.
along those lines, how old does someone have to be able to use some of those remedies? Because you had mentioned this patient had been constipated since they were a baby. Could
Yeah,
is Are homeopathic remedies safe at an early age, and how early is appropriate?
absolutely. From birth, essentially. And if the mother's breastfeeding, you can actually give the mother the remedy and the baby can get it through there. Or you could turn it into a liquid remedy and just rub it on the skin of the baby. So there's even at Sprouts, you can go to Sprouts and get homeopathic drops for infants and children. So it's for all ages. And there's no side effects. It's the right remedy, it's going to do the thing. If you don't get the right response from the remedy, it's not the right remedy, so you just
Yeah,
stop it. There's nothing, no adverse effect from it whatsoever.
that's fantastic. Are there any common misconceptions or challenges that people have in looking at a more holistic approach to wellness, or just looking at things like homeopathy, nutrition response testing, nutrition? What are the biggest challenges and misconceptions you've seen?
Initially, a big challenge would be just financially.
Hmm.
People struggle with spending money on supplements. We don't tend to think twice about buying a fancy coffee, but we'll think twice about spending $20 on a supplement. But once they start working, for me, the biggest challenge is I can't out supplement bad choices. So if you have some dietary issues that we need to avoid, at least even if it's just in the meantime, it's not forever. That is the hardest thing for people. So I would say 100% of the time, if they're struggling, it's because they're not making the dietary changes. They'll come in and their protocol tests nice and strong, and it's, how are you doing avoiding dairy? And I'm like, yeah, I do know because I struggle too. I'm not supposed to have dairy, and I still have dairy when I'm not supposed to. So it's not easy, but that's one of the
Yeah.
biggest challenges.
One of the things that a conversation that I have with people a lot is, you have a certain amount of time with me, and let's just pretend you spend 15 minutes in the office with some of the things that we do in here, but you have 23 hours and 45 minutes to go home and either support the things that we're trying to do or to really mess it up. And so it's up to you as you go through your day. Are you going to do some things to help support the
Right.
changes that you're trying to make, or we're going to do some things that are going to create a problem? So your service is really valuable. The things that you've been able to accomplish for your patients, for our patients, has been really life-changing for so many. And, and it's amazing to be a part of that process and to watch our patients go through that process with you. If someone wants to have if someone wants to work with you, what's the step? What's the next step that they need to take?
They can contact me through your office.
Mm-hmm.
They can go to my website, and there's tons of information on the website, all my contact information, call, email, text, whatever it takes.
That's great. And so when they do that, would they be scheduling like a consultation with you,
Right.
or what's okay?
Yeah, so I have an initial consultation, which usually takes about an hour and a half, and
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna include the heart sound recorder, which we haven't talked about, but that
We have
basically
not.
shows you, right, that shows you nutritional deficiencies that actually affect the heart itself. So I do that. We do the nutrition response testing. I have lots of paperwork, as people tell me, a big history form that you fill out, symptom forms that I have you fill out. There's a lot to that initial consultation.
Okay. Okay. So if someone wants to get a hold of you, they can
Mm-hmm.
contact you through our office, through your website, and schedule a time for that very detailed consultation to help
Absolutely.
you to understand what's going on and how you can help them.
Yeah. And if they mention that they're your patient, and I've been giving a 50% off of the consultation fee just to try to help,
Oh,
because financially nowadays everybody's, with the price of gas and food, we're all struggling.
oh yeah, yeah. That sounds like a deal that no one should ever miss out on. So if you're already a patient in our office and you're wanting to see Chris, that initial consultation is going to be 50% off, which is special. And let me tell you, it is when you have an opportunity to do something that is good for your health, that
Yeah.
can completely change your life. It is so really worth whatever it costs to be able to do that. Because one thing that we find is when you're healthy, you have all these dreams and aspirations and goals and things that you can do and accomplish. Like the possibilities are endless. When you lose your health, your one and only goal is to get healthy again. And
Right.
so let's never get there. Let's take steps so that we never get ourselves into that state where the only option that we have today is to work on figuring out how to be healthy again. Let's get there. If that's where we're at, it's where we're at, and let's move you forward. But let's figure out how to get healthy, stay that way, do these really good positive things so that we're able to live our potential, that our possibilities can be endless. And you're a big part of making that happen. So I appreciate that, Chris.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Is there anything that as we start to end here, are there any parting words or anything you want to say to our community?
Oh boy, that's a loaded question.
Yes. Yes.
I love my job, and
Mm.
I love my clients, and the testimonies that I get from my clients every day are just, it's I don't even have words. And some of the reviews that have been given to me, one in particular about the gal that ended up getting pregnant. It's just it's and this is nutrition. This is so powerful. It's just high quality food based supplementation,
Yep.
but it's the right nutrition for the right reason. It's not just going and buying a multivitamin, your vitamin D, and hey, you're good to go. It's at a whole nother level. It's amazing. It's just mind blowing some days.
It is truly amazing what your body can do when you support it right. And thank you for supporting people and helping their bodies to be healthy, to heal the way God has intended it to. And you're making a big difference, and I appreciate that. Chris, thanks for joining us. And for anyone who's listening, you know what to do. You can contact Chris through our office or on her website, which is
FSTwellness.com. That's short for First Step to Wellness.
excellent. And I'll make sure that I have a link in the description or somewhere, or maybe there's even one on the bottom of the video that you can check out.
Cool.
All right, guys.